Aaron Dillon here, Managing Director of AG Dillon Co. Here is the pre-IPO stock update for October 10, 2025. xAI, the AI large language model business, is closing in on a $20 billion hybrid equity and debt raise built around an unprecedented GPU financing structure via a special purpose vehicle. Roughly $7.5 billion of that will come in equity, about $2 billion from Nvidia, and the $12.5 billion in collateralized debt linked to Nvidia's H100 and B200 chips. The capital will fund its Memphis-based Colossus 2 data center build-out, projected to exceed 50 exaflops of compute, making it one of the largest AI facilities worldwide. xAI's Grok chatbot has reached 64 million monthly active users, doubling quarter over quarter, and daily API calls now exceed 1 billion. Financing follows Musk's push into consolidate AI training across Tesla X, which is formerly Twitter, and xAI to cut overlapping costs. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang confirmed participation and said the chipmaker will co-locate supply for guaranteed long-term access. xAI has a $136.4 billion secondary market valuation. That's up 20.7% versus its March 2025 round. This $20 billion raise is said to be at a $200 billion valuation. However, it's unclear how the special purpose vehicle's cap table will impact xAI's valuation. Also notable, Valor Equity Partners completed a similar deal for xAI earlier this summer. Reflection AI raised $2 billion and an $8 billion post-money valuation in a round led by Nvidia with Eric Schmidt, Lightspeed Capital, Citi Ventures, and 1789 Capital. The startup, founded by ex-DeepMind scientists, plans to train open frontier models exceeding 10 trillion parameters, positioning it as America's counterweight to China's DeepSeek and Europe's Mistral. The firm will deploy over $500 million towards GPU procurement with U.S. computer centers by mid-2026 and hire 400 researchers. Reflection aims to anchor its models in open source alignment techniques and ethical fine-tuning protocols. Analysts view the round as a signal that AI national sovereignty themes are reshaping venture allocations. The company projects first commercial deployment in healthcare and finance by Q1 2026. German automation platform n8n closed a $180 million Series C led by Excel and Nvidia's N Ventures, lifting its valuation to $2.5 billion. It's a seven-fold increase from its 2024 mark. The company serves 350,000 developers and 10,000 enterprise client accounts that build AI agents and workflow automations without code. Annual recurring revenue has tripled to $82 million, while user retention rose to 91%. n8n plans a U.S. expansion and a marketplace for monetized AI agent templates by 2026. Nvidia's participation underscores the growing interest in connecting LLMs with automated enterprise tasks. The company expects profitability within 18 months at gross margins hit 78%. Base Power secured $1 billion to scale its residential battery deployment network nationwide. The startup targets installation of 200,000 home batteries by 2027 to support distributed grid stability and peak load shaving. The 10 kilowatt hour units cost roughly $8,000 each and are expected to deliver 25% annual energy savings per household. Investors include General Catalyst, Breakthrough Energy Ventures, which are betting on battery adoption rates doubling every 18 months. Base Power projects $2 billion in 2026 revenue with positive cash flow by late 2027. The addressable market for residential storage in the U.S. exceeds $45 billion annually. Intercontinental Exchange, otherwise known as ICE, took a strategic stake in Polymarket, the fast-growing prediction market whose on-chain volume has surged 700% year-to-date to $4.2 billion. The deal brings institutional clearing standards and a regulatory oversight to a sector long viewed as retail only. ICE plans to use Polymarket's data feeds to build risk indexes and tokenized event contracts for institutional clients. Analysts expect the move to add 40 to 50 million in annual information service revenues by 2027. Polymarket currently handles 200,000 weekly active wallets and 2 million monthly contracts traded. The investment signals a shift towards regulated decentralized markets within ICE's broader ecosystem. Cerebras Systems, the AI semiconductor company, closed a $1.1 billion Series G round at an $8.1 billion valuation led by Fidelity and Treaties, with Tiger Global and Altimeter also participating. The funding more than doubles its 2021 mark and boosts its wafer scale chip production capacity by 300%. The new WSE3 processor packs 4 trillion transistors onto a single wafer, delivering 9x trading throughput versus Nvidia H100s. The revenue is expected to rise 250% in 2026 to about $750 million as new contracts kick in from government and hyperscale customers. Cerebras plans an IPO within 24 months to capitalize on AI infrastructure demand. Total funding now exceeds $3.6 billion. Crypto infrastructure firm BVNK is acquired in a joint transaction involving Coinbase and Mastercard to build a global stablecoin payments network. The deal is expected to integrate BVNK's issuance tools with Mastercard's tokenization rails across 35 markets. Combined, the platform could process $250 billion in annual cross-border settlement volume by 2027. Coinbase is reportedly allocating $800 million for a minority stake, while Mastercard will pilot co-branded APIs for banks and fintechs. The transaction signals the start of stablecoin mainstreaming through traditional financial channels. Analysts expect the deal to cut remittance fees by 80% and expand DeFi-linked merchants acceptance tenfold. OpenAI expanded its budget tier ChatGPT Go to 16 Asian markets, including Vietnam, India, and Indonesia. The plan cuts pricing by 70% relative to Pro tier and targets 700 million weekly active users already on the platform. The move broadens adoption in low ARPU regions and bolsters engagement ahead of new in-app features like instant checkout and Sora integration. Subscriptions uptake in Asia is projected to raise OpenAI's annualized run rate to $12 billion by mid-2026. The company now holds the largest LLM user base globally with 800 million weekly active users. OpenAI has a $559.3 billion secondary market valuation. That's up 11.9% versus its August 2025 round. OpenAI signed a multi-year GPU procurement agreement with AMD worth $15 to $18 billion to secure long-term access to advanced MI400 accelerators. The deal will cover up to 6 gigawatts of compute capacity and include warrants for up to 10% of AMD equity upon delivery milestones. This marks OpenAI's first major diversification beyond Nvidia and is expected to reduce training costs by roughly 18%. Analysts say AMD will gain $2 to $3 billion in annual AI revenue from the contract alone, and the supply expansion supports OpenAI's Stargate supercluster roadmap through 2028. Industry estimates place OpenAI's total infrastructure investment north of $100 billion by 2027. OpenAI launched Sora 2, its second-generation AI video generator, which topped 5 million downloads in 48 hours and 30 million active users within a week. The model renders 4K video at 60 frames per second and cuts latency by 40% from the first version. Integration with ChatGPT and desktop apps expands OpenAI's reach into creative media markets worth an estimated $200 billion annually. Early enterprise trials show editing time reductions by 75%. Analysts expect Sora 2 to add $1 billion in incremental revenue by 2026. Instant checkout at OpenAI lets ChatGPT users purchase directly from 1 million Etsy sellers and will soon expand to Shopify brands like Skims and Glossier. The Stripe-powered agentic commerce protocol adds transactional capability without OpenAI handling fulfillment or payment risks. Etsy shares jumped 16% and Spotify 6% on launch day as investors priced in AI-driven sales growth. Analysts see potential for a $5 billion annual GMV run rate within 12 months. The move diversifies OpenAI's revenue beyond APIs into consumer commerce. It also provides Stripe with embedded AI distribution across hundreds of millions of users. OpenAI has a $559.3 billion secondary market valuation, as we mentioned earlier. OpenAI released AgentKit, a developer toolkit for building and deploying autonomous AI agents within ChatGPT. The SDK reduces development time by 70% and introduces persistent memory and API chaining for multi-step tasks. Early adopters include Canva, ServiceNow, and Zapier, which report productivity gains from 40 to 60%. The launch extends OpenAI's lock-in across its ecosystem, creates a direct path for monetizing third-party agents. Analysts estimate AgentKit linked subscription revenues could exceed $2 billion by 2027. The release arrives just as Google and Anthropic push similar enterprise frameworks. Speaking of, Google unveiled Gemini Enterprise, a subscription suite allowing corporate users to create internal AI agents for Docs, Sheets, and Gmail. Plans start at $30 per seat monthly and integrate Gemini 1.5 Pro and Nana for secure workflow automation. The launch targets Microsoft's 15 million Copilot enterprise seats and adds competitive pressure in the agentic productivity segment. Gemini's new Nano mode handles offline inference for confidential data, an edge feature not offered by rivals. Google expects corporate AI revenues to exceed $10 billion in 2026 from these products. SpaceX, the space payload delivery and satellite internet company, secured new U.S. Space Force contracts that extend its dominance in national security missions through 2030. The company's Starlink direct-to-cell tests begin in late 2026 using EchoStar's $17 billion spectrum portfolio to enable global satellite 5G service. Starlink now serves over 3 million users worldwide and generates $9 billion in annualized revenue for the company, up 40% year over year. SpaceX completed 120 orbital launches in 2025, so far a record for any aerospace company. Okay, that's it for me this week. Thanks, and see you guys next week.